Children, have you heard this quote? Nature is not a place to visit, it's home. Yes, absolutely right. Nature is for all living beings. Man should live in harmony with nature. Our first unit, Glimpses of Green, focuses on nature around us. Life is impossible and incomplete without the infinite presence of nature. Okay, just move on to our first chapter, children. Chapter 1, Adventures in a Banyan Tree by Ruskin Bond. So, children, I'm giving you the summary of the story. Listen the story very well. This story is about a young boy who enjoys nature closely. He lived with his grandparents. Okay, and there was a huge banyan tree in their house. Though the house and grounds belonged to his grandparents, the boy considered that the magnificent old banyan tree was his own because grandfather at 65 could no longer climb it. The tree was older than the house and the grandfather. He could hide himself in its branches, behind thick leaves, and spy on the world below. His first friend was a small gray squirrel. In the beginning, it was a little resentful to him. Children, resentful means showing dislike. Okay, so in the beginning, it was a little resentful to him, but gradually it became very friendly and took food from his hand when it found that the boy was not harmful. He often spent his leisure time on the tree, and the squirrel was also there in his pocket. So the boy often spent his leisure time on the tree. At that time, the squirrel was also there in his pocket. In the spring, when the banyan tree was full of small red fig that is fruit, okay, small red fruits, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. That is the red bottomed bulbul. It is very cheerful and greedy. Then parrots, myna, and crows squabbling with the one another. What is squabbling? That is quarreling with one another. During the fig season, the banyan tree was the noisiest place in the garden, and halfway up the tree, the boy had built a small platform. He used it to read his favorite books sitting on that platform. Besides, when he did not feel like reading, he would enjoy looking through the banyan leaves at the world below. And it was an April afternoon. The warm breezes of approaching summer had sent everyone, including the gardener, into the house. He was feeling drowsy himself and was wondering if he should go to the pond behind the house when he saw a huge black cobra gliding out of a clump of cactus. At the same time, a mongoose also emerged from the bushes and went straight for the cobra. Children, you know very well that what will happen when a mongoose and a cobra meet each other. Yes, both are fighters. So, in a clearing beneath the banyan tree, beneath means under the banyan tree, in bright sunshine, they came face to face. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, that is 3 feet long, was a super fighter, clever and aggressive. But the cobra too was a skillful and experienced fighter. He could move swiftly and strike with the speed of light. It was to be a battle of champions. His forked tongue darting in and out. Darting means moving in and out. The cobra raised 3 of his 6 feet off the ground and spread his broad spectacled hood. The mongoose also bushed his tail. The long hair on his spine stood up. They were ready to fight. At that time, two other spectators, that is, a myna and a jungle crow, also came to the scene and settled on the cactus plant, okay, cactus, to watch the fight. The cobra tried to mesmerize the mongoose into making a false move, but the mongoose, that is The clever mongoose knew the power of his opponent. Moving forward quickly until he was just within the cobra's reach, the mongoose made a pretended move to one side. Immediately, the cobra struck. His great hood came down so fastly, but the little fellow, that is our mongoose, moved quickly and bit on the snake's back. At the same moment that the cobra struck, the crow and the myna rushed quickly at him, but only to collide heavily in midair. Shrieking at each other, that is, screaming at each other, they returned to their position, that is, the cactus plant. The cobra started getting weaker and weaker as the mongoose attacked him repeatedly. A few drops of blood glistened on the cobra's back. Again, the mongoose sprang aside, jumped in, and bit on Snake. Again, the birds dived at the cobra, but this time, what happened? They missed each other as well as their mark. The myna flew on and reached its perch, that means reached on the cactus plant. But what happened to the crow means the crow tried to pull up in midair. At the time, the cobra hit his head back and struck with a great force. So his nose and mouth part, that is snout means his nose and mouth part thudding against the crow's body, killing it. Thudding means hitting against the crow's body, killing the crow. Okay, the mongoose attacked the cobra vigorously. Finally, the cobra was killed. The winning mongoose dragged it into the bushes. At that time, the myna, with a cry of congratulation, flew away from there. Thus, the battle of champions over. So after this fight, the boy narrated everything to his grandfather. He was pleased that the mongoose had won, and the mongoose had been allowed to live in the garden to keep away the snakes and fed it regularly. Then after some days, his grandfather bought him a white rat from the bazaar. He would often take it into the garden. Soon that white rat made a friendship with one of the squirrels, and they would go on little excursions among the branches. That time the boy was very happy when he saw this. And once his grandmother's knitting needle was missing. They searched for it everywhere but without success. Next day, he saw something glinting in the hole in the banyan tree. Glinting means shining in the hole in the banyan tree. Going up to investigate, he saw grandmother's knitting needle. On looking further, he discovered that the hole was filled with the knitting, and amongst the wool were three white baby squirrels. Grandfather and the boy were puzzled when they saw this, and they confirmed that the rat must be the father. Rats and squirrels were related to each other, and so it was quite possible for them to have offspring. So, children, I hope that you could understand the story. So, here, once again, children, here the author describes three events. One is the boy's friendship with squirrel. The second one is the fight between cobra and mongoose, and the third one, rats and squirrels were related to each other and quite possible to have offspring. So, children, through this story, it is clear that man should live in harmony with nature. So, anyway, thank you very much for listening the class. See, children, along with this video, I will send you the notes of this chapter. You should write it very neatly and submit after reopening.